Hi, everybody, and welcome to Gen Friends. I am so excited tonight because we have our regular panel here and we've got some special guests. So, first of all, let me introduce Bernice Bennett. She's here with us tonight.
Hello.
We've
And
got
I have my
She's got her bracelet on. And then we've got Mary Kircher-Roddy's here with us tonight.
Hi there.
And we've got Terry O'Connell.
Hello.
And we have very special guests tonight. We have got Rebecca Hoyt from Relative Race Black Team joining us. We have the executive producer, Tom, and you're going to have to say your last name because I will butcher it.
Sure. It's Zdunich.
Zdunich. And he produced the Black Team, true, right?
Correct.
Right. And then we've got Tristan Tolman, and she was the researcher for Black Team. So we are very, very excited to have you guys with us tonight. And with that, I'm just going to open it up to questions of this wonderful panel that we've got. What do you want to ask? Come on now.
I'd like to know, was there a challenge, Rebecca, that you particularly liked and one that you really didn't like?
Well, that's a good question. I think that I really liked the challenge where we got to compete against the red team side by side. I thought that was fun because it wasn't necessarily too mental, and I felt like a lot of the challenges were mental and physical, and I wasn't so good with the mental. And I felt like, I think my least favorite challenge was the one where we had had all the items on the table and we had to figure out the riddle. And Tom, do you remember the name of that challenge?
Oh yeah, everybody hated that one.
Yes, that was so hard.
Tom, where do you come up with these crazy challenges? Y'all just sit around and start thinking, what are the hardest things the silliest things we can have them do? How do you come up with them?
Well, we actually have a team of challenge coordinators and producers that work with myself and Dan, the other executive producers, and we sit around in a big room and try to literally come up with them and go, okay, what's going to be entertaining and play well on the show and be both mental and physical, because we don't want this to be, something where it's just about how physically fit somebody is or how fast they can run. We want it to be a little bit of both. So yeah, we literally sit around in a group and try to come up with them, and then they come back with the first draft, our team, and then we sift through those, and it takes months. Oh,
I'm sure it does. And I have to tell you that we did sit around with each show as we talk about each show afterwards, and we've said each time we would love to do these at family reunions. So you need to get a compilation of all of them together and maybe do a little PDF or something for Relative Race fans, instructions for all the games.
I mean, a lot of it we do get from other ideas and shows. I mean, we research different things that are going on in other types of competition shows and minute to win it games and things like that are popular and that other people are doing as well. So and some we come up with ourselves.
Yeah, they're really fun. It's this year there was a lot of changes to the show. Right. And we really talked about that a lot, how much we liked it. We loved the fact that they could text each other. Rebecca, you were always texting, talking smack to other teams, and we come on and go, there they go again, Team Black. Talking smack.
Interesting and trying to facilitate conversation, although it didn't always go over so well.
Well, when you're always in the lead, they're not going to take it well.
Well, I have a question for Christian. How much of your research involved looking at the DNA versus talking to family members and having them give you leads as to where you should go next?
Specifically for the Black team?
Yes, specifically for the Black team.
I would say we didn't rely too much on DNA for the Black team. It was a lot of traditional genealogical research for that one.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else want to jump in? Because I'll just talk the whole time if you don't. So I'm trying really hard this week to let y'all ask your questions before I get in there.
Well, I just want to say that I'm with Blue Team and I'm waiting for when can we lay on the couch kind of game. What it's got to do with TV.
That is so funny. Yeah. She liked Michael saying if you would just have some watching TV or sitting on the couch challenges.
Yeah.
That was so funny. And they weren't so hot at the puzzles, were they? poor guys. It seemed to me that this year the teams bonded more than they had before. Did you feel that way, Rebecca? I mean, I know that y'all had a tie with Red Team with Troy, which I think that was great. And I'm hoping that one day there'll be a follow-up so that we know exactly where that connection is between Jonathan and Troy. That would be so wonderful to find that out.
Yes. Well, like before we started filming, we had about I think it was like a day or so in DC with the BYU network, and we had a chance to not really meet them up until the night before, and it was kind of nice to be able to talk to them, and we all got to joking and get to know them on a personal basis before they just became a competitor.
Oh, that's great. We didn't know that had happened, so that's great. I love that. I love that, and I love that you got to every night you got to see each other on the computer and kind of talk. How long did you get to talk? Was it as short as it kind of seemed during filming, or what we saw on TV, or did you get to talk a little bit longer?
It was normally pretty short. They would just start signing us all on before we would have the live version. But in between the producers and the camera crews doing their job, we would sneak a wink or say hi.
I loved that part of the show. So take note of that, y'all. I think we all did. I think it helped us, and we could tell, we could see the emotions from each team as what they were discovering each week. And it touched everybody. Everybody was crying. Dan was crying. We were crying. Y'all were crying. Everybody was crying. And so that was a really good addition, I think, to the show. I know it you started it last season, I believe. We could see the teams together, but I think there was more time this year. And so I think all of us really liked that.
I really liked the format of the show this year, where they weren't all trying to race, from Los Angeles to Boston or whatever it might have been, that you had them in separate areas of the country. Because it was not like, 8 hours in the car and there's not much you can do with that. So it was a lot more interesting to have them really get to spend more time with their relatives and be in a place that was personal to the family, instead of, okay, well, we got to get them across, so we're going to send somebody to Nebraska. So
Tristan, how did you get hooked up with the Black team? Did you choose them, or was there something about the stories that you liked?
No, I was assigned to the Black team, so you'll have to ask that question to Tom.
Oh, Tom, how do you decide which researcher is going to take which team?
Well, that's
or is it
kind
eeny, meeny, miny, mo?
a loaded question. We actually found Tristan and the team of Genealogist. I kind of led the search for our team on that, and located her and some others that are just really, really talented people. And she ended up with Black team because we sat around a meeting and they said, "Who do you want?" And I said, "I want her."
Oh, well, that's nice to know, huh?
That is in no way, shape, or form demeaning to any of the other genealogists in there. I just felt that Tristan would be a good connection with me personally, and it turns out we did. We really work well as a team, and I really enjoyed working with her so much. She's just an incredible professional and so good at what she does, and a very good communicator. So I picked her, is the bottom line.
Well, it shows. I mean, it shows in the show. It shows that the teams are working well together because of the things that you're able to find out, the stories that you're able to share. All of that comes across, and you can't do that unless you've got a good team. Now, Rebecca, did you have a chance to talk to Tristan at all?
I didn't until after we had finished with filming, and as the show started to air, I was able to get in touch with her, and we talked a little bit, and she said if I was ever in Utah, I could stop by and we could chat some more.
Oh, that's great.
It's amazing. I'm sure you've all felt this as genealogists, but when you research somebody's family, you really feel like their family, and you feel like you know them, even if you've never met them, and there's just really a connection to them and their ancestors and everybody that you've been tracing.
That's so true. That is absolutely true. And you want to keep it, you want to see if more things happen, and you want to, even when you've got somebody and you can't find something, you want to keep It's like, I'm gonna find it. I don't care how many hours you told me I could work on this. I'm gonna find your family for you. So
to echo what Tristan said, you do get emotionally invested and it's hard. I mean, because you're sitting there, and in Rebecca's case, Tristan and I were working together for months trying to find this one key relative, her aunt, that we knew would lead the trail to all the rest of her family. And here we had it all in front of us and all of them ready to go and ready to meet her. And it's just like this emotional path just laid out in front of you that you're gonna be involved in. So you kind of can't help it,
Well, and I'm thinking too, you can't tell her, what you found.
Oh, no.
Oh gosh, that's gonna be so hard.
Play coy with her for the whole time. So.
And especially Rebecca, with your story, it was so amazing, and we were all just in tears and crying and rooting for you to find those answers that you needed to find and that you did find. How was that to know that you were sharing that and being recorded and other people were in on those emotions?
At first it felt really awkward, but that only lasted till I met my first relative, and then it was almost like all the video cameras, all the crew just disappeared and it didn't matter anymore. And I didn't feel awkward because it was right. It felt right playing my family and it felt right being connected to them. So it no longer seemed strange. It was just a means to get to what I wanted, which was to meet my family.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, you had a celebrity cameraman following you around.
Yeah.
Yes, you did. Did Joe talk to you at all and give you any advice about how to handle any of this stuff?
Well, Joe was like, I can't really tell you anything about the show, or he goes, I can just tell you that it's emotional and you're gonna love it by the end and you're gonna be so thankful. And sometimes after at the end of the evening, after I'd met a relative, he would come up and say, I know exactly what you're going through. And give me a hug, and it was really nice. But he was always there for emotional support, but he couldn't really provide much. I guess.
No, but it must have been nice to at least have that emotional support, somebody who had been through it and knew what you were feeling.
Yes, it was nice, and he talked to me a little bit about staying in touch with his half sisters and some of the things that he had gone through emotional wise, and it was kind of really comforting to know that he had been there. Come out the other side and life was still just as amazing as it was while we were filming.
Oh, that's wonderful.
That is great.
Tristan, was there something that you found that you didn't get to use on the show that maybe disappointed you, or it's like, I wish I could have had this part?
No, I think that the team at Lensworks does such a great job of really choosing the best things. And so, of course, we found a lot more relatives than we were able to use, and we found a lot more information. But Lensworks and Tom specifically, they know what's going to work and what's going to show well and what's going to tell the right story. And all the other information that we find, of course, is given to the teams anyway. So nothing is lost.
That's good.
Well, Tom, how do you choose that? Is it just based on story, like Tristan was saying, what flows from one to another, or who will let you come? I mean, how do you choose which relatives for them to go to?
Well, I mean, in Rebecca's case, it was really a no-brainer. I mean, it was just laid out in terms of you had to meet because of the quest to find out more information about her mother. So obviously, her aunt and her first cousin, those first cousins, those were just immediate and obvious. Beyond that, and also her sister Chelsea. So we kind of work from a lowest common denominator, if you will, in a story like hers that's so deep and emotional and has really close relatives. We start there and we go, okay, we definitely have to get to Aunt Kathy. We definitely have to have her sister. We got to have the first two cousins. So we fill in the chart there, and then wherever the holes lie is where we fill in the other relatives, and we go, okay, well, who's going to be the closest, and who will agree to be on the show? Some people we call don't want to be on the show. They're just not TV people. They're like, no thanks, that's not for me. And it's like, we totally understand. Yeah. So that's also a determining factor. Then it also can come down to, let's say that Rebecca has a couple of second cousins that might work for us and are in a certain area, and then we kind of go to, well, okay, well, who's going to be a better fit for the show? You know, who's going to fit in with the relative race family a little better, and who do we think might connect with her better, based on, you know, a lot of different factors. And so that's kind of how we make those decisions. Does that make sense?
That does make sense. But I can tell you that all of us on this panel, if you ever found that we were connected to somebody, we would absolutely let you come. And we will not act crazy. We will.
Yes. If everybody we called was a genealogist, that would be great.
Wouldn't that be great? Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Tom, what is your timeline for selecting or finding the right candidate for your show, and then the decision has been made, good, that's who you want?
Are you talking about the contestants or the relatives?
The contestants.
The contestants.
Yes.
We are in a constant casting cycle for the contestants.
Mm-hmm.
We literally, I just got home 2 days ago from shooting season 4, and we're beginning casting for season 5 right now. So we're constantly casting, constantly going through possible participants based on their submissions, their videos, their stories. It all really comes down, though, the real basis of it is story and how they're going to be on the show. Are they the right fit? Mm-hmm. But we work with several casting companies that are trying to constantly feed us people that are good candidates based on their story and who they want to find and their ability to be on TV.
Mm-hmm.
Are you finding you're getting more submissions now that the show is, you know, gone through season 3? Do you have more to work with, or?
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, it's certainly more than it was on season 1, where we were just begging somebody to be on the show. But I think we can even get bigger and better at those numbers. But they are increasing. Yeah, absolutely.
That's great. That's great.
I mean, it's a different. You know, it's such a different show that it's just, you know, the type of person and to have the story there, it's hard to find.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Do you think that the network, and I'm a BYU fan, but I'm just wondering, do you think the network, where the network isn't as widely known, does that kind of stop people maybe from, you know, filling out that paperwork or having people come over as readily as if it was like, say, ABC or, you know, something like that?
Well, certainly it's, you know, if this was a top run show on 8 p.m. on Thursday nights on ABC, it'd be a different story. So the answer to that is yes. However, I think BYU's programming and the level of quality and what's on there, I think I'm proud to be on their network. And so
I agree.
It's a bonus, but yeah, it's not as big a network as like a top 5, you know, broadcast network. And yet they're in, I don't know the exact number, but I think it's, you know, they're in 38 million homes, I think, worldwide or something like that. Yeah. So it's nothing to sneeze at.
That's right. Well, we will do our part to advertise and help out. Yeah. Rebecca, what has being on the show brought to you? I mean, of course, you know, finding the answers that you needed, reuniting with your sister. And at the end, though, are you glad that you did it? Would you have rather maybe done this in a less, I don't know, public way? What is your takeaway from being on the show?
You know, I am really glad that I did the show. I was really scared at first, but I am so glad I did. And I think that when I did it was also a huge part. It was the right time in my life, the right season. And now that I've come out the other side and I have a great relationship with my sister, with my aunt, with my cousins. And I think that making it public wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. Like in my mind, I kept thinking, oh, I'm going to get shamed for this or shamed for that. But it has been the opposite. And I've had a lot of complete random strangers reach out to me. And some have said, well, you've inspired my adopted daughters to look for their family. And they were afraid to before, but now they're going to, and we're proud of them. And I think that has touched me in a way that almost is as amazing as finding my family, because now I get to be, I guess, a part of a start of someone else's journey to find their family. And if everyone's trees grow because they're willing to reach out and step out on a limb that sounds really scary and frightening at first, unbelievably amazing, and it's really touching, and I can't think of a better way to honor going on the show, is that it's affected other people in a positive way.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And we've all got to realize we all have stories. None of our families are perfect. We've all got, people that we'd like to try to find for various reasons and things that have happened that are beyond our control. And so, look, you've got the green team that didn't have one of these have to find, a birth parent, but they had an amazing story. So we've all got amazing things, people that we can find, that we can connect to. How wonderful to find out that music runs in your family, and every relative you find is musical in some way. It was so much fun. They were so much fun. Michael finding his mom, you finding your sister, and the information you needed about your mom. The red team, Troy learning all he did about his father. We've all got stories. We've all got information and things that we would like to know about our families. And so whether it's, adoptions, whether it's, any stories that we need help on, we've all got them. And so what a wonderful way to not only find your answers, but to inspire other people. So I'm glad you went on the show. I know we're all glad you went on the show because we so much enjoyed. And congratulations on your win. How did that feel?
Thank you. It felt really good, and it was kind of exciting, but it still paled in comparison to meeting my family. And I know that sounds weird, but when you think about it in the larger picture, when you were talking about how everyone has a story, that's how we're all connected. We're all connected in this world by family, and everybody's got one, and everybody has a story to go with it. And so winning was kind of just like, wow, this is really cool. This is a great way to wrap this up. But it was nothing compared to the people and the stories and the adventure. So it was great, but
and we've all talked about that, how we felt we were all winners. Go ahead, Mary. I'm sorry, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I had a question for Rebecca. Has this piqued your interest in doing genealogy? Have you done any more on your own since the show wrapped?
Yes, I was always interested in doing genealogy and family history, but I kind of got really discouraged because I felt like I was hitting a wall. And I thought, I just can't get past this. I don't even know where to look or how to start or what to do. I would need some professional help. And in comes Tom and his professional help with Tristan. And since then, and they gave us all the information and research, so I've been able to put some of that into my family tree and work backwards. And I've talked to a couple of the other people that weren't on the show, and we've been able to put a little bit more information in, and it's really exciting. It's kind of like playing the lottery, and you get something new and you get all excited because I found one. I'm so lucky.
Oh, we know. We know. So speaking about talking to your relatives, have you been able to get back together with anybody since the show has aired? Now that you can?
Yes, I've been back to see my aunt and my cousins twice, and my sister twice. So, and I've talked to John, and I talked to a couple of his family members. We haven't had a chance to visit with any of them yet, but for me, it was those closer connections that were more important. So, and one of my other cousins is coming out to visit soon. So
That's so great. That is so good. Now, did they all watch the show?
They did. Every Sunday night, we had pictures of us in our shirts and our bracelets and in front of the TV with popcorn.
That's so fun. That's so fun. And did you get like, oh, I can't believe like the way I looked on TV? I can just imagine that happening, Everybody looked great to me, but I can imagine saying, oh my gosh, did I really say that? Because that's how I'd probably feel. So.
I did. There was a few one-liners where I thought, I can't believe I said that.
It was all good. It was all good. I say the same thing doing this. So I can't imagine what, being on a TV show like that would do, but you did a great job. We are so happy to talk to you tonight. We do miss Jonathan. We wish he could be here, but schedules are sometimes hard to get everybody together. So you'll have to give him our love. Anybody else have any questions or comments they'd like to make about the show?
I had one more question. Rebecca, about your decision to go to the beach. Tell us about that. Was there a motivation behind it? I had an idea of something, and or did you just flat out just want to go to the beach?
Well, John and I had originally thought about just competing, like pretending like we didn't get the immunity and going all the way in and perhaps winning. And then we thought, well, I wonder if we take last, if that means nobody gets a strike and everybody can stay. And then we found out that's not the rules. So we were like, you know what, we should just maybe save our energy, and because if we might need it for day 10, so we'll go relax for a little bit, and worked out.
See, I didn't know that you could make it so that nobody left that day. And we're all sitting around going, what are they doing? But the beach, that's hard to pass up. So that was a fun day. And you went out to eat. And
It was good for us too.
It was good for you too.
Sitting down for lunch was just about the best darn thing.
Oh, bet it was.
Having a meal was amazing.
I'm
Yes.
sure it was, because y'all have to run right along behind him, take the same potty stops, and the food stops, and
I think
everything.
the camera crew were like, yes.
That's too funny. That is so funny. Anybody else? Anyone?
You got all the good questions.
I took all the good question. Well, let's Rebecca, why don't you, is there anything else that you would like to tell us about the show, or anything that maybe didn't air that you were disappointed that didn't air?
I think that almost they got the meat and potatoes when the show aired. I mean, it would have been fun to have a little bit more in depth, but time constraints, it's only an hour and you have 4 teams. But I think they did a really good job, and they got everything that really mattered. And anybody who wants to be on the show, I encourage it. It's not as scary as it seems, and it's actually probably one of the most beautiful journeys I've ever been on.
Oh, I'd agree. Just watching it. Just watching it. Yeah, it was amazing. All of the stories this year. We were really having a hard time. I mean, in years past, we were like, everyone, we had a team. We were rooting for it. This season, it was like, we didn't want anybody to go home. And even when Green Team went home, we're like, no, can't they stay one more week? So we were just in love with the season. It was a wonderful, wonderful season. And I don't know how you're going to top it. I don't know.
Good luck on that.
Good luck. What do you think about that, Tom? What do you think?
It'd be very tough to top, but to be honest, we came out of season 2 literally and had many meetings going, man, how are we going to top this? And it just kind of fell into place for season 3. So I think it's going to be a very tough act to follow. All the people were just so great, and like you said, the way they connected together on the Skype calls was just amazing. Even from our perspective, producing it. So, but I can tell you, we just wrapped shooting season 4, and I can tell you that there's going to be a lot of that continuing. I think you're going to be very surprised to see how a lot of what happened in season 3 in terms of the connections and the emotions and things like that will parlay right over into season 5, along with some amazing stories. So it's a great challenge to have. I relish the opportunity to be a part of trying to make each season better and come up with stories and people that are just as entertaining as Rebecca and Troy and Green Team and Blue Team. So
exactly.
When
will it air?
I believe season 4. Don't quote me.
Okay, it's all right. We won't.
But I believe it's going to be either last part of September or first part of October.
Wow, so we get 2 this year.
Yeah, well, so
I'd heard rumor we might get 2 this year.
That's kind of the plan moving forward from what I'm told. Don't quote me on that, but I think the plan moving forward is 2 a year. as far as I understand it.
Any plans on going overseas?
That is a loaded question.
Okay.
Plans, no. Discussion, yes.
Okay.
It would be a Herculean task, production-wise, to make that happen. But it's been discussed.
Yeah.
I don't know where that discussion's going to go.
I ask because I have a cousin who lives in England. She's American. She lives in England, married to a British. Her husband's British, and he received an email. But this was like last spring or the spring before, and he didn't understand what it was all about and didn't answer the email, and then saw the show and was so upset that they never responded to the email. And I said, well, maybe you'll get another chance someday. So
I mean, that's
a lesson learned. Answer your emails if you get them.
Right, and that's a big part of this is people, when they first get that communication from our genealogist or part of our team that are like, hey, will you be a part of this? And here's what we're doing. To people that don't know the show, they're kind of like, huh? I mean, are you serious? I mean, that's what we get a lot of is, is this a joke? I mean, TV, come on, you say TV and people's guard just immediately goes up. Like
spam, this gotta be spam.
Or this is a TV crazy show. And a lot of people, and rightfully so, put their guard up because we're dealing with people's real lives and real emotions and family and years gone by and feelings and things that we even as a show and Tristan don't understand or know. And so you start to dive into that and initially it can get very touchy and people are like, wait a minute. And so to break that barrier and get in to say, hang on, we're real. This is the real deal. That's a big percentage of the battle. And Tristan can attest to that.
I'm sure. Tristan, are you working? Did you work on? You worked on this next season coming up, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Which team are you working with? Can you tell us that? The color
for season 4. Can I tell that, Tom, or no?
No.
It's okay. That's fine. All right, it's all good. Sorry. Trying to get a scoop here now.
But I will tell you something that I've really learned in the last little while, in the last year or so, is how many people have a compelling story to tell, and how many people are looking for someone. And I hope that this show inspires people and helps them realize that a lot of times it's really possible. That you can find your loved ones, and if for whatever reason, if you've been separated from family, that there is hope. And I think that that's one of the main messages of the show is family and hope and love.
Yeah.
Oh, and I agree.
I remember on episode 8, Rebecca, when we were sitting at Ron's house and Troy was sharing some of his stories with you over the Skype call, and you had an emotional day. And I remember you told me in an interview, you were like, I really feel like I'm not alone in this journey. And I remember that. That was a pretty poignant moment that you were feeling that as powerful as your story was and is, you were feeling that, there's others out there that are going through the same thing. I remember that.
It was really powerful to realize that you're not alone. And being alone is one of those terrible feelings that crushes you almost. And to know that there are people who have this same battle and they can hold hands with you and you can walk through it together and find what you're looking for was really, really cool.
And the show is done with such love too. It's not done in kind of this tabloid, sneaking up on people. We found this person, and we found, which some people would go to, But this show is done with respect for the family, for the team members, for the family that they're finding, and it's done with love. And I think that's why you're having the success that you're having, because it comes across to those of us that are watching. We can feel that love and respect that you're having for all the family members.
Well, that means a lot. Thank you.
That is the goal.
Yeah, that is the goal. And we try to be that way. And it's, as all of you saw by seeing Rebecca's backstory, it was a very heavy backstory with a lot of events and things that yeah, could have gone a different way, could have gone in a Dateline or 2020 sort of way, but that's not who we are, and that's not what we're about. And we have those discussions with the contestants, and Rebecca and I, well, I shouldn't say Rebecca, her family and I prior to the show had those discussions, and that's what we're about. We want people to come out of this with family and have those connections be positive and uplifting and in a way that's also real. I mean, we're not trying to duck anything or hide anything or sugarcoat anything where we shouldn't, but yet it's a matter of, I think, where your focus is at, and that's what we try to do. So I'm really glad to hear that that's what you guys are at least feeling. So.
Absolutely. And it's not just us. Some of us live tweet during the show, and you're coming across to all those people as we're tweeting what's happening too.
Yeah, so I need to get on Twitter.
Yes, you do. And you encourage the teams to be on, because I think that's good for them, because some have and some haven't, to see what people are saying as the shows are airing live. Mm-hmm. I think it's good for them to see that as well, to see that we're right there with them. We're crying, and we're we're sending our love and support, as they're going through it, although they've already done it. But
yeah, being this is a genealogy based broadcast here, mm-hmm. I just got to tell you guys again how much work our genealogy team puts into this show. I mean, Tristan and the rest of the team put in so many hours, and they do. Tristan and I were talking about this earlier in preparation for this call. They don't just do genealogy work as you quote unquote know it in your world, and I don't pretend to know it, but from what I understand, most of genealogy is, hey, how do we go find these dead people and find out how they're connected? But we're finding living people. So exactly. A lot of these genealogists, and Tristan leads the way, are really investigators. Mm-hmm. I mean, they are out there, trying to find these people, and they just do an amazing job. And we couldn't even begin to start our show. I mean, that's where it starts and ends. We take it from there, but they really do an amazing job of finding these people and doing it in a very sensitive way too. That a lot of the first calls on some of my team come from Tristan, and because I trust her. So.
Yes, you've got to do it in a sensitive way. You just can't cold call somebody and scare them to death. It's got to be in a respectful way to be able to find the information that you need.
I mean, go ahead. We had a team, Tristan and I had a team that was a potential team for season 4 that we just shot. And after, what was it, Tristan, 2 months of
2 months
of research, we had to make a decision, and we dropped the team, not because they weren't great on TV or we weren't finding good stories, but what we were finding was so sensitive and so difficult that it wasn't right morally for us to continue.
Oh, you mean for the team story?
For the sake of the team themselves and their relatives, right. We threw away 2 months of research and funding to say, this isn't right for television. This doesn't need to be on TV. It's too much. So here are your relatives, and you guys go do this, but not on television.
Yeah, that says a lot for the show's integrity right there. It shows a lot for what you're trying to do, and the respect, as I said before, that you have for the team members.
Well, we have to.
Yeah, that's wonderful, because as I do, there's a lot of shows that wouldn't have done that. They would have thought, oh, this is going to get us ratings, and we're going to show this no matter what. And so I commend you for doing that, for realizing it'd be too much.
Yeah,
I think that shows a lot about the show. I appreciate you telling us that. So 2 months, is that about average, how long it takes to research? Or Tristan, how long does it usually take?
I would say that's probably a good gauge. I mean, it has to be, it's very intensive, but we're on a time schedule because of the constant need to move forward with the next season. And so it's something that we work really, really hard and really, really fast.
Mm-hmm. How many people do you have researching with you? Is it just you, or do you have a team of researchers, don't you, that help you out?
So Tom, how can we talk about this?
Or you can't say.
Yeah, I mean, it varies. It depending on the season and how many teams we have and how many we whittle down the teams from, let's say, 25 to our top 8 or 10, and then we whittle those down to 4. And so in the whittling process, there can be as many as 4 or 5 genealogists, and sometimes as little as 3.
Okay.
But not per team, right?
Not per team. It's usually one genealogist per team, or in Tristan's case, sometimes because she's so fast, we'll assign her 2.
So as you whittle down, would you consider one of those teams, if they didn't kind of mesh with the season coming up, would you save their story maybe perhaps for another season, or would you just go ahead and give them their research?
Yeah, no, we have a hopper that we keep them all in and revisit them constantly, if they want to participate. Because a lot of times too, as you can imagine, it's not just story. It's like we also have to have the right mix of people. We can't, if we would have had 4 Rebeccas on season 3, it wouldn't have worked. It worked because we had 1.
That's right.
And the other teams were very different in both their personalities and their stories and their journey. And so it's important that we cast correctly so that you as a viewer are entertained and have a differentiating factor between the teams.
And I want to add something too, that Tom is a master at being able to know how much do we want to laugh and how much do we want to cry. And to be able to balance that is so great. And they really try to do that in the mix.
That's a gift. I think that's a gift. And I think you were spot on. You were spot on.
There was a lot of stuff that Rebecca did that was really funny that didn't make air. So just so you all know.
We need a blooper reel. And we have, just so you know, that we have requested follow-up shows. We want to know how everybody's doing. We have requested, I know that a couple of people requested that at Rootstack next year, that there's a big family reunion. So all of the fans and the team members get together at a certain point, and that would be really fun too. But
it's been discussed. Yeah, we've discussed it with the network a little bit, and we'll see where it goes. No promises, but it's certainly something that's been on the table. So.
Yeah. Well, we would love it. With that, I'm gonna ask if there's any more from our panel questions, because we promised y'all that we wouldn't keep you too long, and we're past the time where we said this happens every time. When we're just great fans of the show, and we really appreciate all that you do. Is anybody else got a question before we wrap this up? Anyone? All righty. Well, we are so grateful to have you here. Rebecca, congratulations on everything that the show brought to you, not only winning, but finding the information that you had been searching for. We're grateful to have been part of your journey.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here with us. Tom, thank you for your insights and how the show was put together. We appreciate that. Thank you so much for being here.
You're very welcome. Thank you guys for watching and for your interest.
And Tristan, thank you for helping us understand how the research process works and how you find that information on the teams and how much hard work it is.
Yeah, well, as a genealogist, and it's that there's a lot to it, and it's very hard and sometimes, but it's also incredibly rewarding.
Fabulous. Well, thank you to everybody on the panel tonight. And if you haven't watched Relative Race, please go to byutv.org and watch the seasons. You are really missing out if you haven't. Get them all watched and get prepared for the new season that's going to be coming out in the fall. Thank you again for watching, Gen Friends. We'll see you next time. Good night.